So today I wanted to talk about metal standards when it comes to music production or the music listening experience. You know, just like every hobby or fashion or trend, in this case specifically music genres, has very specific characteristics that defines them. For example, extreme sports, sweating like a pig while doing something you love while risking your life. Politicians, people whose job is to make sure that we as society get f***ed as much as possible. Cyclists, people whose only goal is to make sure that what it would be a 25-minute ride to the mountains ends up in being a 2-hour anger management therapy on wheels. Before I keep on rambling nonsense, if you like this content and this video, subscribe and like it. It helps a lot. But first of all, what is metal? Well, according to the Oxford... Yeah, that's metal. But seriously, what defines metal as a music genre? Well, I could say that metal is maybe identified by the intensity of its lyrical content and the use of heavily distorted electric guitars and maybe, I don't know, a fast-paced drumming. And all of this creating an immersive musical experience that we all love. And obviously there's tons and tons of subgenres, and each of them with their own set of special characteristics. The thing is that nowadays I feel that metal production in general is getting somewhat flat, overproduced, lifeless, and straight down boring. Basically hearing the same guitar tone on every single album, the drums, everything is triggered, everything is so clean and everything is so pristine that it's boring. It's so predictable, it's almost annoying. And I know that maybe this whole thing is just a new trend. And trends come and go. For example, right now the trend is to rip off Meshuggah, and you have to have an electric guitar with at least 9 or 10 strings. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Degent, it's just that it's this day's trend. Just like a couple of years ago, deathcore was the new trend, and before that was metalcore, and years prior to that was thrash metal, and years even before that was the new wave of British heavy metal, and you know, so on. And I really don't want to be the 100 years ago, everything used to be better. And I know that right now we live in a modern world, and that recording in analog these days is just a rarity instead of the rule. And technology has evolved to the point where most of the work that was done by humans 30 years ago right now is performed by ones and zeros. And that is great news, because on these days with maybe $300 you can set up your home studio, and that is amazing. Yet I think that the human factor was much more involved 30 years ago into all of the process of recording, mixing, and mastering. And all of that translates directly into the results. You can hear that, you can feel that. If you listen to an album from 30 to 40 years ago, you can even listen to mistakes. You can even listen to, I don't know, someone dropping the drumsticks on the floor, or maybe someone coughing on the back, or maybe someone fucked up a riff and they didn't have any more time or more money to be spending on more tape. Music production these days is so overthought, so overproduced, and so sterile. You just can't feel the blood, sweat, and tears of a performance recorded 30 years ago. So in few words, standards. By giving each performance a unique and personalized treatment. I know that, well, this is obvious, but this is something that it's done in the recording and mixing process. But it should be done in a more original way. Shouldn't be like treating everything just the same because this is how things are being done nowadays. That there's no actually good or wrongs when it comes to the creative process in music production. Obviously, it's not like you are going to do something that makes absolutely no fucking sense and the whole thing is gonna sound like shit. But there are a few bands that are not right in this train. I can think of, I don't know, Baroness. The music production of Baroness is really great, and I think that it's raw. It's not as produced and over-polished and boring as all of the other things that we are listening these days. I think that a couple of decades ago, engineers were actually recording experiences and feelings, while these days we are only aiming towards perfection. And metal, heavy metal, or rock has nothing to do with perfection at all. So I hope I'm not repeating myself here, but my point here is that we should inject more blood. We should inject more feelings into the performance, more into making something an experience, just an experience, instead of a product that is going to sound perfect and amazing and over-polished. So hey, let me know what you think in the comments. Maybe name a few albums where the production just did the right thing for the performance. So guys, just like Rebecca Black said, it's Friday. Get yourself a good beer, you deserve it. Blast some nice heavy music on, and while you're at it, break your neck.